When you want to clean a golf shoe, just remember a few basic things. One of them is to discern, first of all, are you cleaning a leather shoe or are you cleaning a shoe that is made from synthetic fibers? The reason that we do that is synthetic fibers are becoming more and more and more common in golf shoes to this day. One, because they breathe well. Two, because there's an economic side to it, makes the shoes a little bit more affordable. Three, also the shoes tend to keep their shape. And four, they are easy to maintain. So that's the first thing we're going to show you, is if you pick up a golf shoe that has made predominantly, or in fact in this case, all synthetic fibers, synthetic mesh and a textile, okay? Those are both synthetic materials. They don't live like leather does. It's a man-made material, and therefore they're a very easy way to keep them clean. If you think about a golf shoe, what is the most common moisture that you will find inside a golf shoe? Sweat. So the foot sweats, and even through the sock, there is moisture, there is perspiration, and it goes into the inside of the golf shoe, the lining of the golf shoe. Now, when you talk about a leather-lined golf shoe, we have different method. When we have a synthetic-lined golf shoe, the only thing one has to remember is that when there's perspiration inside the golf shoe, it's possible that it can become a bacteria-infected area of the shoe, or that fungus can grow in that warm, moist environment which the perspiration provides for the bacteria to grow in. So there in itself is something that you need to be aware of, that maintaining a synthetic shoe is almost as important inside as it is on the outside. The other thing about synthetic shoes is generally they don't need a lot of work in terms of getting the color back. The colors are very bright. The colors are impregnated into the synthetic fibers. So this white shoe, if you use a cleaning agent, it'll stay very, very white. It won't go dull. But we do need to disinfect the shoe, and we do need to make sure that the shoe is clean and ready to be used on a regular basis. So somebody might ask you, how often do you clean a shoe? And the answer is, if you play golf once a week, you should be cleaning your shoes at least every month, once a month. That's the minimum. Some people will clean their shoes after every game, which is advisable. But some people are lazy. But even if you're not going to maintain your shoes at all, you should clean them thoroughly once a month. So we're going to discuss, this is the synthetic way of cleaning a shoe. The first thing you're going to understand is, if you used any detergent, Handy Andy, dishwasher, Lux, Surf, any kind of detergent, these will hurt these fibers and burn them. They are not designed to go into a washing machine. They are not designed to be heated in front of a fire or a heater or don't put them inside a microwave. These are not synthetic. Well, no shoes can be done like that. But synthetic fibers require very little maintenance. And the first thing that we use is we use a mixture, which is in this bottle, but we're going to show you what it's made up of. And you can make up your own bottle in your own store. Basically, we'll do it today in a bucket, and we'll take a white spirit vinegar. This is not fancy vinegar. This is not balsamic vinegar. This is white spirit vinegar. It's available at most of your retail stores. And what we'll do is we'll put about half a liter of this into a bucket. Half a liter, 500 mils. And when that 500 mils is done, we will then add 500 mils of tap water. This is tap water. So now you understand that recipe that you had of 50-50. You've got 50% of water and 50% white vinegar. You will then need a heaped teaspoon of bicarb, again available at any retail outlet. Spar, Pick n Pay, Checkers, they're all there. I don't have a don't worry, a good solid helping like that of bicarb into the water, into the mixture, and you will hear it fuzzing up. What happens when it settles and the air and the bubbles are out? You have the vinegar, which will kill most of the bacteria, and you've got the bicarb, which kills most of the fungus. So it doesn't mean that the shoe is completely clean, but it is a lot cleaner than it was before. The question is, how do you get that into the shoe? So the first thing would be is we make sure that we have a bottle as big as you want that's got this mixture in the bottle. It's a spray bottle. That's number one. Number two is you will need a scrubbing brush like this, a normal nail scrubbing brush, nylon. It's hard enough to do the work, but soft enough not to damage any of the materials. Then the question is, how do we clean the shoe? The first thing that we do is always remove the laces. The reason why we're removing the laces is because you're also going to clean the tongue. And it's almost impossible to clean the tongue unless you clean the laces. The third thing, which will come when we do the practical, is often the laces are dirty. And so the dirty laces also need to be washed through with the same materials. So you start by spraying the laces completely. You can't damage them. You can make them as wet as you like. The next thing you do is you find the inside lining of the shoe and you take it out. That's sock liner. So now you have laces, shoe, sock liner. Your spray. You spray inside the shoe completely. The inside, the lining of the tongue, the lining of the shoe, throughout the shoe. Don't worry how much you use. It's no problem. That's how you kill all the bacteria inside the shoe. When you're finished doing that, you will then proceed to the upper, and you will do the same thing, spraying the shoe as much as you can. To get rid of dirt, you use this. If you think that there's any extra energy needed, use the brush. Don't be scared to use this. Don't be scared to put it on the sock liner either. Spray the sock liner completely till it's wet. Brush it and get all the dirt out. Okay, you can do it again and again. In other words, you can repeat the process until you are happy that the shoe is clean. Once the shoe is clean and it's wet, now you have the process of making sure that the shoe dries. So this will dry on its own. As we said, natural light, no problem. No direct sunlight, so don't hang the shoes outside. Indoors, in natural light. This can rest as it is. The golf shoe, ideally, you want to rest upside down, because all the moisture that is in the shoe can run out. So that after 12 hours, the next day, the shoe is completely dry inside. So it's very easy. You can just get another pair of shoes and balance it in between. I mean, it's not a difficult thing to do. And the same thing would apply. Once you've done that, you can take a dry, clean upper, a dry, clean insole, put it back into the shoe, relace the shoe laces that are now beautifully clean. And if you then, after that, because want to make the shoe even a little bit shinier, you can use shoe creams, white shoe cream in this case, but it's not necessary because this material does not benefit from it. It might give you a slight improvement in color, it might shine a little bit, but none of these materials are really designed to shine. These colors that are in here, you won't find on the shelf a blue polish to put on there. So we would rather just clean it and leave it as it is. There's not much else to do. So again, you're finding that a synthetic shoe is really clean. There's one part of the shoe that we never spoke about, and that's the sole unit. Now, golf shoes are notorious for holding dirt. Mud and leaves. Mud, leaves, sand. Again, use the spray as much as you like on the bottom of the shoe. Scrub the shoe as much as you like to get rid of the dirt and clean the shoe. Can you imagine a customer coming in, handing in grubby shoes, and when he gets them back, they're beautiful and clean, and they've been cleaned inside and out. So it's very impressive to do that. If the spikes needed to be changed, you would have taken them out with a spike wrench, and you would have cleaned the inside female section of the spike. That receptacle that's in there gathers dirt. They all do. So it's a good idea, just as a precaution. Take a spike wrench, click the spikes all out, have a look inside, clean them out. Same solution. You don't have to change anything. And when it's dry, put them back. That will give you a clean synthetic shoe. Now, you might say to me, this magic water and this magic mix, can it be used on shoes that are made from leather and synthetic? For instance, a shoe like that is leather and got breathable mesh on it. Could you use it on both surfaces? The answer is yes. The answer is this can be used on everything, on leather and synthetic. It can't hurt the shoe, but it's strong enough to clean the shoe. So if we understand that, one would want to ask the question, well, why do we need to do anything else to the shoes at all? They are clean after all. But there's a difference between cleaning, which is maintenance, and restoring or giving the shoes life. Okay? When you want to give a shoe life, especially the more expensive shoes that are made from leather, the leather needs care. Leather is an amazing material because it's a live material, or was a live material that's been pickled and preserved. What we're trying to do is make sure that it stays soft, supple, breathable, okay, and that its color is kept in its luster is kept. So that's very important. When cleaning leather golf shoes, the process is a little more complex, and the reason is we're dealing with a leather upper. Leather being a pickled skin from a cow or calf, as we've spoken about in previous education programs. And the question is, how do we make sure that the shoe maintains its look, its color, its luster, and obviously maintain it for long term? So leather is a great material because naturally it has the ability to absorb. It has it wicks on its own. In other words, that wicking material is already in the lining of leather. If you allow the leather to wick moisture off the foot, that same perspiration that comes off the foot can become bacteria, it can create bacteria and fungi, however, less so, because the bacteria is easily absorbed into a leather lining. So you often find that leather shoes don't smell as badly as synthetic shoes. And a very practical way of testing is take a pair of synthetic shoes and wear them without socks. And you will see that the perspiration and the smell that comes out of that shoe will be within a day, you'll start to smell it. If you do it with a leather shoe, it doesn't happen as quickly. It may happen, but over a period of time. And that's because of the properties of the upper. Again, when you want to clean them, the disinfecting part is this. Okay, so you can use the spray with all the combinations of the bicarb and the the vinegar. You can use it to do all the best, and you can clean the bottom of the shoe with it too. You can scrub everything. But when it comes to a dirty shoe which comes into your store, the first thing you have to do is clean the upper. Now, normally, that means you must have a shampoo or a type of restorative cleaning substance, which we will show you during the demo, which gets sprayed onto the upper. That spray will be wiped onto the upper. It will be let to rest for about 30 seconds, and it will be wiped off. That will ensure that the surface is free of dust and grime. Now you've prepared the surface to be cleaned. The second process after that is to apply a cream. Normally a cream that matches the color of the shoe. If you don't have the color to match the shoe, what should you do? Use a neutral cream. Okay, we'll discuss the uses of neutral cream. If you have the right color, in this case, a black polish, you would be able to apply the cream very thinly across the entire upper. The same thing would apply. You would remove the laces, and you would also apply the cream on the tongue, the areas that require it. So again, the same thing applies. You have to take the laces out. You apply the cream in a very thin layer with a clean cloth, so that you can see where your finger dabs the cream in the pot, and how you rub it and how you apply it onto the surface. It will dry within about 10 minutes. That's how long it takes to dry in normal circumstances. Once it's dry, it is ready to be buffed. We buff with, the first buff is always with a brush. Again, we buff with a brush until we achieve a good shine. Some people will leave it at that. Others will do something more. Others will use a stocking as well to get a really good shine. In a shoe like this, which is a matte leather, you don't need to do that, because the shoe's never going to shine much. But if you were used a shoe like that and you needed to shine it, a stocking at the end would make a big, big difference. So from a cleaning perspective, we use the bicarb and the vinegar combination with water. From a luster perspective and from a maintenance perspective, we always go clean the surface first, then apply a cream, let it dry, buff it off as best you can. Don't leave anything on there. What's the danger of bypassing what we've done and just saying, look, if a pair of shoes comes to me, I put polish on it, I buff it, and it's ready to go. Remember that every time you do that, you trap layers on top of the shoe. So there's dust that gets trapped in there. The breathability of the shoe is first of all affected. And second of all, you'll never get the look and feel of the shoe again because of the trapped dirt that's on there. So it's hell of important to use that cleaning mechanism in the beginning to free the upper of all the dirt. That will be the recipe for success. And that will be in our practical that we'll do in the next chapter. Here we have a pair of ladies' synthetic trainers that are going to be used to demonstration purposes. Remember, don't be scared of getting your hands dirty. You can always disinfect them afterwards. If necessary, gloves can be worn. Take your hand, put it inside the shoe so that you actually can use the shoe and maneuver it as you feel like. Take your spray bottle, which is already prepared with the solution of bicarb and vinegar and water, and we then start spraying the shoe as much, I told you, as you want to, and that includes continuing spraying the lining of the shoes, the sock liner, and in this case the sock liner comes out. There's one missing there, and you make sure that you make the entire inside of the shoe completely damp with this material. That will help you. That'll help you make sure that you've disinfected the inside of the shoe. We then take our scrubbing brush and we start to scrub the outside of the shoe, starting on the vamp of the shoe, working backwards down the quarters all the way to the stiffness at the back. Okay, and you can do that repeatedly until all the dirt is finished. It's out. Here you can also brush this as much as you like, and again you can clean the tongues which are particularly dirty, and you can keep doing that on each one. Takes you about at least 5 or 10 minutes to complete the process. Make sure the collars are done, and you can see how the whiteness is coming up in the shoe. Make sure you've done the sides of the sole, the breasts as they call them. and all the way around the edges, the soles as well, and make sure you get all the dirt out, and then let that sit for a while you attend to this. This again, make sure that it's completely wet. You can smell the vinegar, but the vinegar evaporates, and you'll see that it'll be nice and dry in the morning. It takes about 12 hours. Right. Again, let's do some more scrubbing. Whoops. Scrubbing. Okay. While we were there, remember these are dirty. We have a solution in a bucket, which you can have, or you can spray them, but let them go into the solution. And once they're completely wet, they are also quite easily scrubbed. And you can then make sure that when you scrub them like that, all the dirt comes out. Do it a few times. Again, once they're clean, you can wring them out, and they will dry also overnight, completely disinfected and ready to go. Let's do this side. Let's do the other half. You'll see the blue stain that was there is gone. No damage to the leather at all. Inside of the tongue. And the laces are ready to be done. Synthetic shoe is now cleaned and made into a shoe that can be worn for play in the next day or two. Obviously the shoe needs to dry. Remember what we said, we would dry them overnight in an inverted position like that. If you have other shoes, you can support them like that so that the shoe sit nice and straight, and that all the moisture overnight will drop out. In the morning, you'll turn the shoes over, you'll refit the laces as they were before. Remember, always use the center loop, because that stops the tongue from moving from side to side. Don't leave it out. Always go on in this case, on the third eyelet. Make sure that you go through. But that's the way it was when it came, and the shoe will be ready for use. Now you can have a look and see that the shoe's a lot cleaner, it's a lot whiter, and in this case it's now a lot healthier too. Right, here we have a beautiful pair of Echo men's golf shoes. and it's an interesting combination because we have a leather upper and we have a synthetic padded collar and a padded tongue. So you have two materials, but predominantly leather. And as I said to you, remember, the first thing we always do is we make sure that we prepare the upper for to be cleaned. In other words, we must get off all the extraneous dirt. One would think that it's that easy, but the first thing that one has to do is make sure that you have a cloth that is good at doing that. So a cotton cloth is good. Some of the more synthetic cloths don't take the dirt off as well. Cotton is a great cloth. You can buy cheap cotton cloths at most supermarkets in big bags. I've got one navy one here tonight, and I've got two white ones. I'll use the navy one because it doesn't show the dirt as much, but it is clean to start off with. So how do we clean the shoe? The first thing we look for is a thing called leather cleaner. It looks very simple. It's a spray. You take the spray like this, you shake it, make sure that it's there, and don't be scared of it. It's like shaving cream. And what you make sure you do is make sure that it goes all over the shoe, all over, as much as you like. Again, rubbing it into the shoe, making sure that you try and clean as much of the surface as you can. You'll see that areas where there's a lot of wear, some of that where it gathers dirt, you'll notice that it's getting better and better as it goes along. You'll notice along the back of the shoe, you can do it there. Don't worry if this goes onto the synthetic fiber, it won't harm it. But what it does do is it makes sure that all the dirt that we take is gone. And you can use a bit more. And this is always good to use on the tongue. And if you didn't have a leather cleaner, what could you use to clean the upper? You could use this. You could use that. I just like using leather cleaner because it's got a very, very nice finish to it. It makes a very nice smooth surface. Okay, so I sprayed it on and I rubbed it in and it's gone. Now we'll do the other half. Same thing. When you have a tongue, in this particular case, you can see this is a gusseted tongue. It's sewn in. It does make it a little more difficult to clean, but you can get into the corners, and that's where a lot of the dirt is. And gusseted tongues are there to stop water getting into the shoe. So again, a very good way of keeping the shoe moisture free. So you need to leave the shoe after it's been cleaned like this. You need to leave it for at least 3 or 4 minutes to dry. And you'll notice that the entire shoe is starting to look a lot cleaner. Here we have our famous spray, which we brush with the brush. That is sufficient to kill all the bacteria. And now we will apply, in this particular case, this shoe is not a white shoe, it's an off-white shoe, so white cream would not do the job here. A neutral cream would be the one to do. So you normally get a cream that looks something like this. It says neutral on it. The difference between a cream and a polish is that a cream also it also nurtures the leather. In other words, it keeps the leather breathable, keeps it soft. Polish gives a shine. This has got a combination of polish and cream, so you should get a good result of some shine, but also keeping the shoe very supple. Again, using a clean cloth, make sure that you take your finger and you just dab it in there lightly, not too much, and spread it thinly across the leather portions of the shoe, including the tongue area as well, including that area over there. Just lightly dabbing it until you have covered the entire area of the shoe. This will be done to both halves, and then we will allow this to rest for about 10 minutes. So now you have prepared the upper with a shoe cream. 10 minutes to dry, and right, this is now a shoe that's been prepared for cleaning and polishing. The upper has now dried up and the polish sits on the surface. Obviously, one has to remove that polish with a brisk brushing stroke with a hair brush, which is normally made from horsehair. There are synthetic ones which are cheaper, but horsehair is very good. And one makes sure that one does a very good job of making sure that all the polish is removed from the surface, leaving a very smooth and dust-free surface. The same would apply with the tongues, making sure that the tongues are also nicely polished and cleaned. That would be a good way of making sure that the shoes are and the uppers are very, very well looked after. One would then have to do your left shoe. Just remembering, as a repeat, if you have time and you aren't satisfied with the first attempt, these type of processes can be repeated as often as you need. Right, the last thing is a clean stocking. Make sure that you've got a nice clean stocking, and again, using that stocking to buff the tops. This makes sure that all dust is off the shoe and that the shoe looks beautiful and ready to go again. Remember our famous spray. Still goes inside the shoe to disinfect it because it is a synthetic lining. Famous spray goes in there. And of course, across the bottom of the shoe. And again, of course, a brush across the bottom to get all the dirt and all the grime off and clean it up. And the shoes will be then dried overnight, inverted, like that. The next day, the shoes will be ready. You'll turn them over. You'll take the sock liners, put them back in. You'll relace the shoe. Take some stuffing. Make sure the shoe's nicely stuffed so that when the client, the cuzzy comes, the toe is nice and full. And then you're ready to go.